Hello and welcome to this Angie T, AJT Mandala Artist video. I've been asked by a number of people in my group to do a little video about dot walking. So what I'm going to try and do is show you the two techniques that are involved in dot walking. Just to give you an idea of the things I'm going to be using. I've got a deep purple paint, purposely chosen that because it's nice and dark. I've then got a kind of greeny blue because that will give you a nice contrast and enable you to see what's going on. I've then got a variety of dotting tools. There's this stylus, the slightly larger stylus that goes with it, and then two of the transfer punches. If you haven't used them before, they will be really greasy. That's left over from the process by which they're made, so do make sure you clean them before first used. So I'm going to actually start off with the bigger of my two transfer punches, to show you one of the two techniques. There are two techniques we're going to be looking at. So first of all, obviously I want a nice big blob of my deep purple, and then I'm going to go round that and do the dotting around that. As per usual, I clean off on a tissue so I don't have to have the mega cleanup when everything is finished. I don't like the mega cleanups. I prefer to clean up as I go along. I'm going to move the green paint in simply because it's a lot easier for me to actually have the paint close to what I am then doing. Excuse if you see my head or anything like that. I am trying to concentrate on where I'm placing my dots. So first of all, as I have done before, I'm going to mark out with dots my four corners, effectively corners in a circle, and then I go in between those. So there we go, we're going in between them. Not brilliant, I've managed to not totally get it right at that point around this side. You can see it's a little bit too close, and then I'm going to go in between those again. And it does take a steady hand, it does take practice. Sometimes I prefer to go slightly further on, then come back. You can see I did there. I would suggest that you turn your work when you're doing this. You'll find that a lot easier. Obviously, because I'm videoing it, it's quite hard to actually turn the work. I made a mistake around that side, but kind of hidden it nicely. So that's one of the two techniques where you can literally put dots that are the same size all the way around, and you get that nice kind of image of similar sized dots all the way around. You can then, should you wish to do a second row, go in between those. So I've got my slightly larger dotting tool now, and I'm then going to have a row of dots, and you can see they are being spaced to go in between the ones that I've already done. They're slightly larger, got a little bit more space further out, and it makes that process just a little bit easier to do. The bigger your initial dot, the easier this is. If you have a very small initial dot, it's actually very hard to get these round and space them out evenly. That's something I've learnt by trial and error. And yeah, of course, we all still make mistakes. You can see that I've got a bit close there than I really wanted to. It's gone in a little bit too far. I'm going to make a slightly bigger dot coming out from the centre. So there we go. Dot walking, stage one. That's the first way of doing it, and if I zoom in to that a little bit, you'll be able to see it in a little bit more detail. So I'll zoom in, and there is the first version of dot walking. So what I've done on that, I've used the large transfer punch to make the large dot in the centre. Then the very, very finest stylus I've got to make the small dots, mark out the 4/4 as I call them, and then did it in 1/8 and then went in between them, and then used the slightly larger stylus to make the second row of dots going around that. So that's one way of dot walking. Second way of dot walking, so I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see the process. Second version of dot walking then. This is the one where you decrease the size of your dots as you go around. So I'm going to use a slightly smaller transfer punch this time around to put that first dot in the centre. And I'm going to do this the opposite way round so you can see the two techniques that are involved. So that's my first dot. Again, clean off as I go round, then I don't have to do it at the end. So that's the slightly smaller transfer punch. And then how are we going to do these dots? Well, this time I'm going to start with the slightly bigger stylus and then move to the slightly smaller stylus. Reason for that, I want the big dot at the top going down to the small dots at the bottom. So let's start with this. You will find I probably see if I can do this without turning. So there's my biggest dot, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see they're getting smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm now going to change styluses because they've got quite small at that point in time, and I want my fine stylus to carry on round. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can see they've kind of disappeared as I've gone down. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Smaller and smaller as I've gone round, smaller as I get down to the bottom. So same process I can do with a second layer of dots. I'm going to start again with an even bigger stylus this time because I want a bigger dot at the end before I put the smaller ones on. So bigger dot at the top, nice and big. 1, 2, 3. You can see this is beginning to come to the same sort of size as underneath now. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to stop using that larger stylus at that point and then move to the slightly smaller one. Go over that one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can see I'm now getting to a similar size to the really small ones. So 4, 5, 6, 7, and stop again. And then go down to my really fine stylus for the ones at the bottom. 9, 10, 11, 12. You always find that the second row round is going to be smaller. So by the time I get down to the bottom, smaller, but a larger number of dots has been used. Sometimes people also like to make this look a little bit like that sort of peacock tail effect. The way you can do that is by then taking a larger stylus than you originally used for these first ones and putting a nice big dot right at the very top. Begins to give it that kind of peacock eye effect, and then you can actually then put another one here and carry on down again. Each to their own on this one. I personally generally choose not to put that large dot on unless what I'm then doing is going from the large dot and actually making a row coming out, which is my personal preference. So I tend to then dot walk out from that large dot on the edge, and if I zoom into this then it'll again give you that idea of what I've done. So we'll move across and zoom in. So come on camera, focus, focus in. He doesn't want to, I'm too far away obviously, too close, so let's go out a little bit. It's obviously struggling to focus at that distance. So larger in the centre, larger stylus, smaller stylus, even bigger stylus, going to that middle size one down to the small one, and then I personally have this row coming out. If you then look at the two versions of dot walking, you can see that they are similar but at the same time very different. They give very different effects depending upon the style of mandala that you're trying to draw or the style of dotting that you're trying to do. You can also use this dot walking to good effect on really small micro mandalas. You might just be able to see that one there. That what I've done is I've dot walked round the outside, not used as many dots as I have on either of these, but gone around the outside and made a very small yet quite sparkly mandala on a glass pebble. Believe it or not, this is about 1.5 centimetres in size. So there we go, dot walking. Hopefully that's helped some of you. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. You find me on Instagram at Artistry and Craft, and you'll find me AJT Mandala Artist. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.